Harlequin Historical and HarlequinAudio present Christmas Promise by Carla Kelly, performed by Helen Keeley. Dear reader, I love to write Christmas stories. Technically, I consider them an exercise in restraint, rather like a poem. The shorter length demands concentration of ideas, which appeals to me. Mainly, though, I like to write Christmas stories because they are a personal gift to the season. Christmas Promise is a logical story for me to write, considering my recent series on the men of the Channel Fleet during the Napoleonic Wars and the women who loved them and waited for them. The story poses an interesting dilemma for a career naval officer who sailed and fought during some of England's darkest decades. What does a frigate commander do when peace breaks out? That is Captain Faulk's dilemma. Christmas seems like an appropriate time to resolve it. I promise. Merrily yours, Carla. To Scott and Jody Barrett of Fargo, who took in 3 refugees when the Cheyenne River rose and we were homeless. Prologue. The long war was over. Napoleon, under protest, had set up housekeeping in his Central Atlantic change of venue. Surely it was high time for Parliament, free from war's alarms, to attempt some social legislation, namely, a law about procrastination. I cannot be the only procrastinator in England, Ianthe Mears thought, as she sat on her bed staring at her open wardrobe and bureau drawers stuffed with 10 years of accumulation. Never mind that she was far from a wealthy widow. She had acquired too much stuff, and she had put off disposing of it until now, when she had informed her solicitor to put her home on the market. She had to move. Trouble was, she had also put off explaining to Jem why she had just recently placed a deposit on rented rooms over one of Torquay's unpretentious eating places. True, he was only 10, and saw the matter as an adventure, which made him puzzled when she swore him to secrecy. "When you go to Plymouth to escort Diana home, don't say a word about what I have done," she had insisted when she put him on the coastal carrier, warmly dressed against December, and warmly admonished to avoid all sailors and other shady-looking characters. Better she told Diana herself. Selling the house went hand in glove with the not-so-minor detail that economic retrenchment at home also meant no more tuition for her beloved daughter at Miss Pym's Female Academy in Bath. Of course, when she had both children together under the same roof, she could tell them why she was uprooting them from the only home they had known, and ending Diana's academic career, or at least her studies of Italian, embroidery, and approved world literature. Frustrated with herself, Ianthe flopped back on the bed and stared at the ceiling, wishing for the umpteenth time she could think of another way to set by enough money for a dowry for Diana, 15 now, and leave enough to entice a merchant in Torquay or Plymouth to take on Jem as a shop apprentice. There would be no future for either of her darlings if they did not sacrifice now. She took several dresses, stylish in earlier times, and tossed them into the giveaway box until they covered her late husband's old uniforms. 10 years it was since Trafalgar and his death, and she still had not the heart to look at the navy blue uniforms or discard them. Better to cover them with another layer of clothing. A casual observer would have pitied Ianthe Mears's devotion to her dead naval hero. Wasn't everyone at Trafalgar a hero? But never have understood her own conflict. 10 years had been enough time for the raw pain of James's death to evolve into the occasional sigh. Immediately after his death, it had taken all her will not to express the anger she felt at her husband, leaving her impoverished and with a baby growing inside her. She had hated Jim briefly, until sorrow took over, grief that would have survived any sharp-eyed matron's scrutiny, because it was genuine. The mundane business of save and discard soothed her. She was setting aside the box of Jim's letters when she noticed the letter underneath the box, the one Jeremiah Faulk had sent to her after Trafalgar, and which contained Jim's last half-finished letter. She opened the letterbox to place it with the others, and was closing the lid, when she saw another letter. She sat down on her bed again, turning it over in her hands, trying to decide whether to keep the letter, which was only the barest scrawl from Mia, dated 6 months after Trafalgar, telling her he had been given leave to send her Jim's portion of the prize money awarded for Trafalgar.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?